been looking forward to this one for a really long time. And I know all these guys have busy schedules, and they are three of the biggest Knick fans that I've come across, and I'm really looking forward to it. I didn't think we'd be able to coordinate everybody, but you're in for a real treat tonight. And to get Anthony, MSG, Doug, Berns, who's been doing the music, doing an amazing job, and Benjy, Kleiner, all in the same room tonight.
Good evening, gentlemen. This isn't for you. They talk about a nightmare blunt rotation. This is a dream blunt rotation for me. Just three of my favorite people that I've met through being a Knicks fan, and I just have to say, I'm coming home from some shit in Manhattan. I'm in Brooklyn now, but you three guys are my guys, and I love you all so much.
Well, the last you said a blunt rotation. Can the last time the Knicks went to the conference finals, I was a weed smoker. I haven't smoked weed since 2006, but in the year 2000, I was blazing.
I think we had to cope with it somehow these last 25 years.
Well, yeah, I've told you guys that, one of the best parts about doing this is being associated and getting the opportunity to meet fellow diehard Knick fans and genuine people. And, any interaction I've had with you guys has been all positive. I've obviously gotten, the comments about being overly optimistic was really the only way I know how to be. Sometimes I got to take my Knicks goggles off. I see how you guys are sometimes attacked on social media because of it. But, to be able to have the opportunity to potentially have the last laugh here could be tremendously satisfying for somebody that refuses to give up on the group and tries to see the glass half full all the time when maybe sometimes I shouldn't, but not apologizing for those takes when the team is playing like they are right now.
Absolutely, as you shouldn't.
Definitely, man. So Benjy, what was going through your mind when you were trying to get through the war zone on Friday?
I just want to get myself to be able to watch healthy enough to watch game one on Wednesday, because literally I was ducking people and things and items being thrown. And I took one look down 8th Avenue and said, there's no way I can get myself to a bar across that group of people. So I just scrapped it. But hopefully for after game one.
Yeah, I thought I'd see you at American Whiskey. I went there on Friday after the game.
Could not get there.
I saw a fat Jew on Friday. He was looking dapper.
Oh, yeah. Wearing his Van Horn jersey.
Yeah. No, he was wearing a quilt or some knit thing he was. Maybe the Van Horn jersey was under it.
Well, let me just say that he was a very strategic game 4 guest, because I had my best friend supposed to come through from Florida, fly in. He couldn't make it, and he said to me, why don't you take him? So I said, okay, I'll take him. And I knew that his energy and all the karma would just lead to a win, so that's what it left. But Friday was amazing, man. I mean, obviously the game was over in the first half, but what I noticed was, no one was sitting down.
Yeah, it was awesome.
From the start of the game. It was really weird, and it was kind of annoying because everyone was like, sit down once the game started.
But it's funny when it comes to situations like that. I'm a young guy still, so I'll stand the whole game. I don't care. I just go by what the person in front of me is doing. If you want to sit, I'll sit. If you want to stand, I'll stand the whole entire game. Because I know that's how I look at it. I never want to.
If there are 3 Celtic fans sitting behind you, like the case for me in Section 213.
I don't fight with other fans. I cheer my ass off. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any humans at the game. If you're just rooting for your team, man, I don't care. You know what I mean? Don't be annoying.
Yeah.
But
I was discouraged to see what they were doing to that guy wearing the Halliburton jersey. Now I'm sure.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, Harrison. I'm sorry I just cut you off like an animal. Some of the antics you see outside the game, it's a little. Even in winning, I will say it's a little. And I'm not trying to be some 41-year-old washed-up guy, because I'm far from washed up, I think. But some of the behavior outside the game, I have a hot take, and I don't even think some of those people are even Knick fans. I don't even think they're watching a Knick game on a Thursday night in December
Mm-hmm.
versus, the Sacramento Kings. I think they're just people that want to get on side talk. I truly believe that. And listen, there's obviously real passion outside those games, of course. But I think some of it, the people that yell SMD, like, what is it with these people when a microphone gets on them, they say SMD? What is up with that? What are we doing? What are we doing? Can you just root for your team without saying SMD?
Yeah.
Come on, people do better.
Yeah. Well, the viral moments, and this is not me hating. I don't know the guy that Towns was wearing on his shirt at the Yankee game.
The honey guy.
Yeah, I'm sure he's a great guy,
he's a
but
nice
like
guy.
you said this in July, Ant, I think a lot of people are going outside those games and they just want to see if they could go viral.
100%, 100%.
And they're listen. Some of these people watch 82 games a year, like us.
Of course.
But some of these people probably watch about 2 games a year, and maybe some people just watch the playoffs. But that's no excuse, by the way, for acting like a complete hooligan. Dance, party, scream. I had no voice. I was partying out there.
Yeah, no, definitely.
There's always that line that you got to be careful with. That I think some people don't really care about.
Right. I agree. They didn't looking for that viral moment. Doug, what's up, man? What music you cooking up, man? I've only really given you one idea all season. I think it's time to use it though.
Is this the moment? Because I'm starting to come around to Tibbs.
See, that's the one. My only white concert of my life last summer was Green Day. I know because most of your music tends to be more on the rock and roll, alternative, grunge side. So I felt like that's a perfect one. You might have to use soon.
He played Return of the Mac at one point, right?
No, he's done some hip hop, but like Doug's more of a rock and would you say rock and roll punk guy?
Well, I'm walking past my sleeping kid's room. 1 second.
What will be really telling is next season. Obviously, I'm not thinking about that. Is when there's a preseason game, and then there's the next day, and then Doug is expected to come up with an amazing tune, and everyone's like,
I think I'm gonna draw the line at preseason, but I feel the footsteps. I feel the imitators behind me. I can sense them coming. Yeah. So I might have to be proactive and might have to do summer league. I might have to do preseason. Just to keep them at bay. I saw some parody.
There's definitely someone coming to copy you. I don't know who, but it'll happen.
Well, you did a trade once, right? Like I think you did like a song about like the PJ Tucker or something, right?
That was the single Met
signing or whatever.
And Jordan, who does the Met songs, I'm not a Met fan, so I didn't know this. But Jordan Simpson, he's been doing this type of thing longer than I have, but for the Mets. So if anybody's a Mets fan, he's really great at that. And I just want people to know that it wasn't even on my radar until I told a friend about it, what I was doing. And she's a Mets fan. So she was like, oh, that's like my friend Jordan does these things. So shout to, I just want to make a shout out to him. But this idea has been cool, man. It's been fun.
No, you've been killing it, man.
So supportive of it, man. Like I've been in the games, like your boys.
my sons literally know who you are. I'm wearing your T-shirt around. They're like excited. Man. What's Doug's song? I want to hear it. What was it today? And like,
it's fun, man.
They love it. Man.
Well, I'm trying to just keep growing the idea because like we all have done something with how much we love the team. We're all like creative people. We all have a passion that it's like. We're in already. My philosophy was always like, I'm in this shit so deep already since I'm 5 years old. I might as well just go with it, and like keep and see what. And I actually, my pathway to doing this is really starts because I actually believe in this particular group of players. Like Ant and I have gone back and forth about some stuff over the years. I didn't think last year's build was the build. I didn't think it was the like cores in place. And a lot of that comes with because I think it's not that I don't think Randall's a great player, but I just don't think that the way he was cast within the system of the Knicks was the long-term answer. And I don't think it was working for him either. And I think that's part of why we didn't reach a contract extension with him. And it was ultimately more prudent to move in the Towns direction. And I think that was a really savvy move. I think the Knicks, that's a good way to cash that chip in, that asset in, that is Julius Randle on an expiring deal.
You're telling me the January 2024 team doesn't get a banner?
A lot of fans gave them a banner.
Hey, listen,
it was a
great that January.
It was a fun month, man. That was a fun month.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, the first time they all got out there, it was like the ball was whipping around. OG was knocking down shots. OG was guarding, switching.
I think we all wanted to see what that team could do, but obviously with Isaiah leaving, if you told me Isaiah was staying, bring the whole squad back. As soon as Isaiah left, and knowing Mitchell Robinson was going to miss more than half the season, you had to go in a different direction. And Leon Rose did an incredible job with that.
And by the way, I can't be the only one, Doug, Anthony, and Benjy, that is extremely proud of Robinson right now. Because to me, them trusting him at the trade deadline, and, you know, he's obviously battled the health issues, but for him to have the impact, I've been on the record many times saying I think they lose the Sixers series without his impact on Embiid last season.
I'm not against that take.
Yeah, and what he's been able to do in limited minutes, and obviously having the best plus-minus, somehow being 6-6 in the one game they lose, but battling through the free throw woes to really impact these basketball games for the longest tenured Knick. You know, I'm just really happy with him and happy for him as a person also.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that.
He's the only Knick player that's interacted with me directly about the music. Like he shared it and DM'd me and stuff.
Wow.
And was just like so funny and cool, and it's such a good sense of humor about it. Like, he's a very easy person to root for, and like that whole sort of like story about his life with his coach, how he had his coach come live with him after his coach lost his wife. Right. And it's just like he's just an open-hearted dude who's been with this team for so many years, and it's like it was the opposite of absence makes the heart fonder when he was hurt. It was like we all forgot just the incredible impact that almost fully healthy Mitchell Robinson can have. I mean, literally guarded 5 positions on a single play in a close game.
Favorite play of the postseason, I think, so far.
I'm hearing people
trap with Jaylen Brown in the corner. Yeah,
I mean, it feel like
they knew the game was over there.
Yeah.
The game was over there.
Right, because it's like because that just tells you that the whole team, every individual on the team is so locked in on their role and their job that like what can they come up with? What could the Celtics come up with to beat that group that night? There was nothing. There was no counter for how locked in the group was, and I think Mitch was one of the main pieces of that because. Yeah. They tried to get in his head, like Mazzulla tried to get in his head with the Hackamish stuff, and there was maybe a game or two where it seemed to like affect him, but mentally, I mean, but the way that he came into that game so locked in, and the message that he sent, even though we lost Game 5, but the message that he sent, getting to the line and being perfect at the free throw line was like, it was a message of like, yo. I'm here. Like, you guys are not really going to be able to throw me off my axis with all your games and all your Joe Mazzulla like chess tactic bullshit. Yeah. So what a series! Just what a series for this guy, man.
Mm-hmm. He had 1.4 rebounds in Game 6. It was like the best 1-in-4 game I've ever seen. In Game 1, even the play to force Tatum to go to his left. That was a remarkable play as well. That kind of like very unheralded because it's like a split second of just
correct.
I thought like that was Anunoby at first glance when he was forced. I mean, left.
Truth be told, when these plays are happening, my head is like this, and I'm literally every time when a shot goes up in these key moments, I literally just look down and I just see the player take the shot, and then I just hear the crowd react to their like I can't watch when you get into these moments. I've been trained to do that ever since, and Ant will remember this. Ben Gordon hit like a game-winning shot against us when he was on the Bulls.
Martin Luther King Day 2005.
Exactly. There we go.
There we go.
When Walt Frazier famously called him Madison Square Gordon that day.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
You deserve a ring, man. You really deserve a ring.
That's crazy.
There's that play. There's a play where Dirk Nowitzki hit a shot that bounced up and went in.
February 2014 when Melo had his hands like this.
So right. So there's all these plays that I'm like conditioned to expect the shot to go in. Like so. Anyway, in these final moments, that Mitch play, I don't honestly know what's happening. It's just like let me escape with a win and just like and this I just deal with it after. But Mitch's arc as well as Mikhail's arc, just how these seasons have gone with the scrutiny that's followed them around and for different reasons, to see where they're at now and the appreciation level for both players. Obviously, there's a long way to go. We're halfway there. So there's a lot to be determined, right? Like the next, I don't want to put this out there, but the next bad game by either one of them will be highly scrutinized, right? I saw Brandon Tierney, who we love, and I know you're friendly with him. I was trying to call all day into FAN to call him out because he was overly massive overreaction to Cat's game 5. Yeah. I'm a huge Cat guy, as you know. I wear his jersey of the game, and I love him. He's probably my favorite player next to Allen Houston. And I thought he was way out of line calling him out for game 5. He was calling him a dumb player, low IQ.
Yeah, that was a little much. You could call him a couple things, but dumb is
right.
I always thought of him as actually a high IQ player, honestly.
We get
sometimes the fouling, I guess, but
like you're going to go and just eviscerate this guy who's been great all season because, yeah, he's had some moments where he's been quiet in some of the postseason games, and I think a lot of that's been part of like the offense and how it's been run. But needless to say, the Mitch and Mikhail like narratives, how those have kind of developed. I mean, honestly, Doug, when I was watching your song on Saturday outside at a school fair for my kids, and I heard the Empire State of Mind chorus go on with the female singer, and she's saying Mitch's defense shut down 7th Avenue. I swear to God, like tears, like I started crying. Like in my mind, I got goosebumps. The same way I do when I hear "Let's Go Knicks" before the jump ball to start the game. Like, so there's so many things that are amazing that are happening right now. In addition to Doug's ascension and press junket, which rivals Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. I mean, everything good is happening right now. Harrison with your great coverage, which is honestly the most granular Knicks coverage I'm seeing out there. So everything is great right now.
Good day, New York. Wednesday morning, 9:15. Everyone.
Hey, let's go. Tune in.
Yeah, and now I want to talk about one moment at the end of the third quarter because it forced me to kind of reflect a little bit, and my fondest memories of my childhood are my dad bringing me to Madison Square Garden for Larry Johnson's game and just the late 90s, early 2000s playoffs. When they played New York at the end of the third quarter, and when the whole arena sings in unison for, you look up at the scoreboard, and if that's a 2-point game, we're all biting our fingernails. Like, hey, like we could sing the song if we want, but
Jaylen Brown already fouled out. I mean, the game was over at that point. What a wild close. I mean, you can't really call it a wild game because the game was over in the second quarter, but what an interesting closeout game against such a great team. So it wasn't even. I mean, I did think we were going to win Friday, but I thought for sure, going into the fourth quarter, we were going to have ourselves a ball game.
Yeah,
and it was just a beatdown. And then there was just so many awesome moments, like you said, when they were singing New York, that was awesome. And but I want to say credit to the players because we look around the city, it feels like we're champions already. And the bottom line is there's still 2 rounds to go.
Yep.
And credit to the players for not getting sucked in too much to because it does feel like we won the championship already, and the bottom line is still got to win 8 more games. And these are the hardest 8 games to do. The next 4 games are going to be extremely hard. So I think the players have done a really good job in not getting sucked into too much of the Timothy Chalamans and the Fat Joes and all this stuff. Like it just they've done a great job with that. At least I think they have.
Well, yeah, and just to that point, I think a lot of it, and you guys all know this, I think a lot of it is synonymous with a quarter of a century of frustration.
Of course.
And a passionate group of people that love the sport. I mean, how often do you hear the Mecca when everybody loves to come play here and torture us, and Knick fans are just obviously waiting for it to be our turn. So to be catapulted into this spot and beat the defending champions, listen, I'll be the first one to tell you, I was extremely excited, more so than you probably would be on the average second round. But
I'm here.
But at the same time, like, I think everybody now calms down and understands that, like, there's no way on God's green earth that I would be satisfied with the year if you drop this series to your turning into a rivalry now with a team that knocked you out last year. There's no participation trophies at this point. Like there's a clear path. There's no prime LeBron James. There's no prime Michael Jordan. There's a clear path for the New York Knicks to win the title. Imagine someone telling you that at the start of the postseason.
It's amazing. I think going into the postseason, I think a lot of Knicks fans were expecting to lose to Detroit. I don't think many of our own gave us a chance against the Pacers, the Celtics.
Right.
And now, but that's what sports is all about, man. It's not the WWE. It's not scripted. As much as people would love to think it is, it's not.
Well, Halliburton and Brunson had their moment in WWE.
Well, yeah,
they almost fucked up Brunson's hand doing that.
But it's no, man, it's so awesome. I'm just trying to enjoy it too. There was a moment where I was just looking at all the crowds on Friday and thinking back to literally being at every game, from during all the bad years, whether it was with, Scott Layden or Isaiah or, stripping the team with Donnie Walsh, with Al Harrington, to, the Phil Jackson days and the Bargnani days and hiring Jeff Hornacek. I mean, it's just so much. And you think of those moments and you think how.
Shout out Derek
Fisher. And I'm not saying you had to go to the game still. I always went, but like you guys always kept watching, never gave up, and now to see where we are, it's incredible, man. It's really, really awesome. And then there is passionate, and as much as I believe, there were times in my life where I forget championship, because again, that's never guaranteed. You can win 64 games with the Cavs and not get a championship. There was times where I'm like, are we ever even going to be good again? There were some rosters we had in even the late 2000 teens. Is that what you call them, the 2000 teens? Where you thought you're pretty good. Like, for example, the 16-17 team with Joakim Noah, Derrick Rose, Courtney Lee. Steve can win 47 games, get you a little 4 seed maybe, and they won 30 games, and being there through all those moments, and now to think where we are, it's remarkable.
Yeah.
Those were the hardest teams to watch, in my opinion. Those late.
You saw the talent. There was talent on those teams.
There was talent on those teams, and there was theoretical fit on those teams. And the problem was they were never going to be bad enough to tank, and they were never going to be good enough to make a playoff run. And you just go into every year like hoping to see something. And my favorite moment so far, I was with you, Harris, in this playoff run. The night that I really felt very emotional about the current group was after we won Game 2. And the reason that is because I knew that if we could steal that second game, the reality of us taking this series became super just palpable. All of a sudden, it snapped from a pipe dream that could be nice to like, this team not only has the talent to do this, they have the character and the fortitude to do this. And that was the game. Game 6, like, it was cake. Like, we won in the
It was cake.
It was the game in 3 quarters. But Game 2 was like, this could go either way. Brunson could miss the shot, or Mikal could make the turnover, or that the thing could go wrong, that we lose this game, and then it's a whole different series. And everybody's counting us out every step of the way. Oh, Game 1 doesn't mean shit. That's the only game they're going to win, whatever. The fact that they stole that Game 2 was like, this team has character.
Yep.
Don't forget, you watched a full season of this team not healthy. The people will lie to you and tell you that the team was healthy during the regular season, and the team that was disappointing and coming up short and against the good teams, whatever, that was not a healthy, fully realized version of the group that they had for so many reasons at every point along the way in the regular season. So when they got that W, to me, I think that the Knicks can win this series. Like, there are many realities in which the Knicks can beat the Pacers. But my request to confirm that this build was in the right place and the team was philosophically moving where they needed to move, not like those teams we're talking about. Like, even though they made the big trades, even though they cashed the chips in, and those are things that make Knick fans feel the PTSD of some of the bad decisions that have been made in the past. If they can get to a conference finals, they will confirm to me, everybody has a different opinion, they'll confirm to me that this group is a contender. That is the very definition of a contending team. If you are still in the dance when there are 4 teams left. So to me, I'm extremely satisfied and excited with the mettle of this group and the mentality and the fact that it's repeatable. Like, I'm sorry, maybe Cooper Flagg is going to pop in his rookie year. Maybe Victor Wembanyama leads us into a new era next season and the Knicks are totally relevant again. But I don't believe that that's going to be the case. Whatever happens right now, and I see the window. I get it. There's injuries. There's things that have happened that are sort of serendipitous to lead us to realizing that we could really actually compete for this ring right now. But the build of this team is sound. And to me, that's what I ask a GM for. That's what I ask a president of basketball operations for. A sound build with an identity, with an idea behind it. Not just throwing stuff at random players that have this ability or
which was
name.
Those teams a lot in the 2000 teams.
Correct.
And Doug, to piggyback off what you just said, so many times I would talk about with my friends or on social media in those dog years was, again, championship's not guaranteed. Give me a chance. Give me a reason. Correct. So back when the Knicks are really bad, and this was for a while, I would always say, can we get to Thanksgiving and matter? Can we get to Christmas and matter? Can we get to Valentine's Day and matter? Can we get to St. Patty's Day and matter? And for the most part, we barely got to Christmas for 20 years. A few years we had games that mattered till January, and a couple years you snuck in the playoffs. But for the most times, by Valentine's Day, the Knicks did not matter. We went, we watched, we loved the Knicks no matter what. But after Valentine's Day, the games did not matter. They just mattered for ping pong balls. And half the time, we didn't even have our draft pick.
I used to call with my friends, I used to call being 10 games under 500, I used to call that Knicks 500. Right. Like, if we could get to Knicks 500, anything can happen.
And you know how many times, like, it would be in January, February, in any of those years, or, 06, 05, 07, whatever, 08. Like, if we win tonight, we win tomorrow, lose this game, but win 2 after that, we're only 5 games under 500. I'd be like, we can sneak in the playoffs. And I remember, like when Steve Francis hit that shot in Washington in 2007 when he jumped on the scores table and the Knicks were the 8th seed for 24 hours. I mean, what a moment. But what a pathetic moment, though. Like, it was pathetic. But I was actually watching that game, ironically, with Brandon Tierney in 2007 when Stevie Francis hit that shot. His grandmother was in the front row, and it felt like we were champions, damn it. The star-chized backcourt was ascending. The Marbury Francis, Jamal Crawford squad was ascending, and then a few days later, we found out Jamal Crawford was out for the year. Steve Francis went right back to where he was. David Lee got hurt. We ended up winning 33 games, and we didn't make the playoffs that year. But that shot versus the Wizards, and that year even had some fun moments. You had the Marbury layup versus the Jazz. You had the David Lee tip-in. You had the triple overtime game versus the Bulls. But we still just won 30. We had the Eddie Curry three-pointer on the Mike Crispino call on a Saturday night. A 3 by the big man. Where is Mike Crispino, by the way? Anyway, it just, to me.
I even remember in the Mike Miller year when he took over, we had like a 4-game winning streak. It might have even been 5. And we ended up playing the Hawks in like a big game. I think we were like 3 games out of the 8th spot or something, like 4 games out. And to Anthony's point, I remember telling people, like, we won 4 in a row, and now if we win in Atlanta, we're now like 2.5 out of the 8th spot. We ended up losing that game like triple overtime or something like that, or quadruple overtime. It was when Schroeder was on the Hawks. But we just been through so many pathetic moments where everything was just like felt like winning, being 500 felt unattainable. And now here we are in this season where we ended up winning 51 games, and we almost like took the wins for granted because we would win these games, especially later in the season, and we would kind of discount them, belittle them, and say, oh, this isn't against a good team. We're 0-10 against the top 3 teams in the league, and so when
there's perspective involved. Yeah,
but now here we are, and we have this amazing roster, and everyone's seeming to fit, and everyone's contributing in individual ways, and we have this potential like all-time great Knick. in Jalen Brunson that's just leading the way, clutchest player in the league. And yeah, I'm ready to dissect the Indiana series, man. I have some thoughts on it that I've been kind of thinking about all day and mulling over.
Well, 1 second, because I wanted to talk about game 2 a sec with Doug, that he mentioned it. Obviously making that series a lot easier to win, being up 2-0. But someone made a point. I think it was Chris Carlin. You remember he was on The Fan, Anthony? Remember that name?
Well, he's on ESPN
he
now.
said something
Yeah,
that
he's a big hamburger cheesecake reviewer now, as well as
but
ESPN.
But he said something that one of the best analysis of anything I heard. He said, not of food, of basketball. The Knicks operate extremely well in chaos. The Celtics don't. And
we've been like that for a few seasons now. Actually. We've been a very chaotic team.
Everybody wanted to point to that. The Celtics did this. The Celtics did that. They slipped up. But the fortitude, as you guys talked about, and the mental strength on the road to be able to stay in those games, get stops, the other team gets tight, you have to come back. That, to me, listen, I'm not guaranteeing anything going forward, but there's championship DNA there. And then winning comes out of your best player, oozes winning, doesn't let the moment become too big, right? He's a star, he's clutch, all this other stuff. But when you have a calming presence like that, and he could spread that out amongst everybody else, and everybody jumps aboard and follows the leader in that sense, that's what makes me feel the best going forward, is that when you're never out of a game and you never feel like you can't come back, that's demoralizing for your opponent.
Yep, I agree. And we showed that games 1 and 2 in Boston, as well as game 4 in New York.
He's often overlooked. I think it's deliberate, the way that pundits will refer to him. They're going to do it again now. They're about to do it again. They're going to say that Tyrese Halliburton is better than him. And it all comes down to the fact that Jalen is a smaller player. And in almost any given matchup, he's probably not the most physically gifted player on the court. But as far as the toughness and the ability to find a way to create a big shot, whether it's for himself or for somebody else, and to just come up always on the spot with a big play, clutch time points is sort of a metric for that. But you have to watch to understand. You have to watch him in action to understand the way that he is so definitive in his movement and his decision making. That's the beauty of the game of basketball, is that it's theoretically about being able to jump higher than everybody else, but it's actually not.
And he plays off 2 feet. He plays off 2 feet.
Every big shot he makes off 2 feet, and the ability to do that night in and night out is, maybe, if we transition to a conversation about the actual series, I want to hear what Benjy has to say about it.
Yes.
That's the area where we always have an edge, and that's the area where a playoff game is often decided. So Jalen Brunson being able to stay calm and stay grounded amidst the chaos is what gives us the advantage.
Go ahead, Benjy. Start this Pacer talk.
It's all right. So Jalen Brunson, to your point, Doug, tiptoeing in the Detroit series along the baseline, almost falling over. That play will be etched in my mind.
That? I've never seen anything like that. I'm sorry to interrupt you. That was crazy.
That play was. There's been a couple plays like that. Separately, Josh Hart's offensive rebound on that missed shot where he beat the 2 Celtics to the ball in Game 6 was also insane, because I saw it from the vantage point that I saw it from at the game, and it was like he looked like he had no chance, and he just sprinted to the ball and beat them. Amazing. But yeah, as far as the series goes, man, I mean, look, I'm always going to be confident with our heroes, right? But last year we didn't have to deal with Benedict Mathurin at all, and now we do. And that's the biggest thing for me that I'm looking to, because the Pacers were a real pain in the ass last season. Nemhart, Neesmith, obviously off the bench, are major issues, and those guys have only gotten more experience. They're still young players. As I mentioned before, when we were talking today, like a guy like Nemhart, who is Andrew Nemhart, was 29.1% 3-point shooter during the regular season. That makes no sense. He's a good shooter, Every time we've seen him shoot the ball, he seems to make
Don't forget about TJ McConnell
right,
as well.
TJ McConnell, right? Forget about TJ McConnell. He's the biggest thorn in anyone's side. But so if you look at the postseason, you got Andrew Nembhard shooting 22 of 44 from three in the playoffs so far. You got the Pacers averaging about 118 points a game in the Cavs series, whereas we only averaged 104 points in the Celtics series. So the scoring, the fast pace with which the Pacers play is an obvious issue. And the fact that we basically took Campaign out of the rotation starting game 6, right? He only played garbage time. So we went to a 7-man rotation in essence, whereas the Pacers play 10 guys, if you include Thomas Bryant. So I'm just curious to see, like, how does Tibbs counteract that, right? There's the reality of, like, oh, hey, we're just going to play our starters heavy minutes and they can handle it. OG, McHale, like, they're battle tested. But, like, there's the reality of, like, it's late in the first quarter. You got to get your guys a breather. You only have Deuce and Mitch to go to. Like, do you extend the rotation? Does that mean that Cam's going to play?
Or maybe we see some Shamet. I agree. I don't know.
It's just –
And Shamet played really well at the end of the regular season. I'm surprised surprised we haven't seen too much of him in the playoffs.
He's looked a little.
I think Tibbs gave him a shot against Detroit, and Tibbs doesn't have a long leash in the playoffs. So 2-3 minutes of being ineffective and missing shots, and that was it.
Couple turnovers.
And Benjy, by the way, I know that Indiana's a little deeper than us, but I really don't think the Knicks winning this series is going to come down to Shamet, Payne, and Precious minutes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
You know, I think, listen, they pick up 94 feet and they make it tough on you. Obviously, you want to slow them down a little bit and don't want to play in these ABA-style games, but
because they'll kick our ass then.
They got to
try to play their style. Yeah. They'll beat us.
Yeah, they got to deal with us though down there too. A little tougher and more physical, and you know the perimeter defense is really, to me, where it always comes down to with the Knicks. We got to hold our hat on the fact that we have 2 of the better ones in the league, and you know Anunoby making it a little bit more difficult for Siakam. Then once he was out of the series last year, Siakam kind of had his way. You know, he did whatever he wanted to do. So, you know, that matchup's one to look at, and you know, are there guards, and there's a few of them for Indiana that you just got to keep at bay. And God, I can't deal with a big Obi Toppin game in this series. I just can't.
Yeah, no between the legs dunks, please.
but before, I'm curious to see what all you other guys have to say about the series as well. But I think that the biggest matchup we need to exploit is the Cat matchup. I think Cat he had some strong games. I think he averaged like 20 and 12 in the Celtics series, even though his scoring wasn't always there. He had a few quiet games, but he was really good game 6, very aggressive. But obviously 3 for 19 from 3 in the series. He got good looks in game 6. He just missed a few, including a completely bogus 3-pointer that they called an offensive foul. Definitely should have been a challenge. I don't know what that was. That was like just a blatant bad call. I think Cat's going to get, Indiana's not known as a defensive team, right? So Cat should get a lot of looks, right? Some straightaway threes. Let's look for that to exploit that.
Shoot more in this series than he did in the Boston series, I would think.
Yeah. I mean, he got 20 shots in game 6, and he missed some easy ones, including some 1 for 6 from 3. But that's the matchup that we need to exploit. I think in the regular season he had a 40-plus point game against Indiana. Turner's obviously great. He can repay the favor and make Cat go out and guard him. And obviously Turner torched us last season. And I think last I checked, he's shooting like 45% from 3 in the postseason. So we know he's a pain in the ass, and he blocks shots. So I think that matchup is key, and obviously the bench. I'm just curious to see how we're going to just deal with the number of guys that the Pacers can trot out there and the pace with which they play.
It's really interesting. I'm looking at Cat's history game log in the past 6 years against Indiana. He has like 4 40-point games.
Oh, wow.
There's a common denominator who's facing.
Yep.
He's facing Turner because he's been there just as long as I can remember.
Right.
Turner's been there as many times as he's been theoretically traded to the Knicks. He's still been a Pacer this whole time. So, and what's interesting about Cat is like I don't get super nervous about him guarding in space. Like when he's on an island with a player, like it doesn't really. I don't worry so much because the Knicks have such good off-ball defenders that like the issue to me really comes that his help is poor and his box outs are poor. Like even though he grabs a lot of rebounds, he's not great at getting contested rebounds. So I think in a strange way, Miles Turner pulling him away from the basket might be something that could help the Knicks in a weird way. Like it will make the defensive rotation at least not have the final frontier is can Cat protect the rim. And that's when, in my opinion, that's where he gets too handsy. He gets into foul trouble. He doesn't use his length as he should to protect the rim. And that's when we get into some issues, and that's when penetration becomes a problem for the squad. I also wonder, what is Tibbs going to do with the double big lineup? I think that it worked so well against Boston for matchup purposes, but with a faster team, is it something you can go to? Is it not? Because that to me is like when the Knicks can get, there's just too much talent in the top 7 to stick with one group of 5 for too long. So that's the way that the Knicks can counter the depth of Indiana, is to keep mixing and matching between the 7. It's a 7-man rotation, maybe a Precious sighting, maybe a Shamet sighting here and there. But it's like that, the synergy of, okay, well, it's like, well, and I guess Payne is probably going to play a reasonable amount.
I think so.
I think he's the first one off the bench, but I think he's the first one after the 7 would be Payne.
Yeah, but it's like what I think has been so effective that Tibbs, who I've been so critical of for so many years, and he knows this, has been really, really smart about when does he mix in Deuce with the starters, when does he mix in Mitch with the starters, when does he create a lineup that's 3 guards plus 2 bigs. And if he can keep being creative about that, that's how we can mitigate some of that Benny Mathurin scoring punch off the bench, some of that what's his face, TJ McConnell making my heart race and just making me want to break stuff in my house.
Hopefully
ever since that buzzer beater when he was with Philadelphia, another one where our guy Melo went like this.
That
was one of my least favorite moments in the history of
I hope he doesn't make a song, Doug, TJ McConnell, because if he does, it probably means he dropped 20 on our head.
I had to play a television spot like 10 minutes after that happened. I had to go on TV and perform. Like I was in the green room. I'm sorry, we don't have to do this all remember when shit all.
No, those are the best conversations. You can get enough analysis from every damn channel.
When it comes to Benjy and Ant, it's probably 2 of the most impressive. You're not going to find many more guys that can do it like they can do it. So,
but there are ways. So my overarching point is there are ways to counter this Indiana attack that slows the game down for us and allows us to assert our dominance on the glass, allows us to continue to switch so effectively like we did. And it's just like, don't let them track meet us. Just don't let them do it.
Well, I already see the high ball screen coming, and what I will say is Turner popping and Siakam, they have as many outside perimeter threats as Boston. They're all going to shoot it too. So, Cat's recovery and him not coming too far over and then trailing that. And then you said when Robinson comes in the game, you feel good about him on the perimeter too. Like he might have to guard Turner, then what Cat would guard Siakam. They'll mix and match, but they did a much better job. Obviously in game 6, they did a great job. But the way that they're moving on the perimeter and not fouling, contesting well, right, and being under control was the key to me in their defensive efforts. And with Indiana, you can't get sucked in like that either, and be slow to the closeouts because they'll make you pay too.
What about with for me? I think one of the key things is Halliburton hangs on the perimeter, and then sometimes he just holds the ball, and because he's open, he'll just shoot it. And if he's not guarded, and he's like similar to Trae Young. So I think that's a key thing too, because we saw him, even though his shooting percentages from 3 were not as high as they were in the previous season, and in the playoffs against us last season, we saw in the Cavs series that guy just hits a ton of big shots. So he's a major threat that we need to make sure that we cover that. So we cannot sag off at all.
Yeah, that game winner was one of the coldest shots of the postseason. We all know what the coldest shot of the postseason was, but that was one of them.
Yeah, that was a vicious one, and I think Cat
Brunson game 6 in Detroit.
That's the one I think was the freaking iciest.
I thought he was talking about Tyler Kolek in Game 6.
That was a big. Listen, I was happy for Tyler. I was happy for Tyler getting that 3. You know.
You got a playoff 3, baby. That's all you can ask for as a rookie.
And he waved
as a second
with a little confidence with the wave.
Yeah, that was.
Listen, guys, I actually have to jump off, so I appreciate you guys having me.
Of course.
And we'll definitely talk more soon.
Let's do that.
And really appreciate this, man.
I'm coming back to the Bronx. Can I just quickly say before we go, magical weekend in the Bronx. Magical weekend.
Well, please come back. You're always welcome in my borough.
Appreciate you, bro.
Guys, go Knicks.
We'll have
Thank
to
you
do
very
it again.
much.
We'll have to do it again when they go to the finals.
Yes, sir. I'm always here.
Appreciate
I'll see you
brother.
for Game 1, Anthony.
Later.
I'll look to my right.
He's the best.
Yeah,
some of his recalls, by the way, some of his recall is like actually insane. Like that. The Martin Luther King.
Between the two of these guys, it's crazy. They have the last 25 years locked in.
Because there's so many times that I can recall where I was just sitting in a room by myself, looking up at a TV, just soaking in what was, so it's you just naturally remember certain things and associate them with certain moments. But yeah, I mean, I'm feeling confident about the series. The Mats are an impact. He's a really potentially special player that we didn't have to deal with last year, and he's perfect for like what we need, because we just know Deuce, is obviously, we love Deuce, but can you count on him in every game? Not necessarily from a scoring standpoint. He's just not that big. So even though he plays big and he's tough, Mathurin is just more of a force and more of a guy that you can give the ball, and he can just be so aggressive when he comes in. So that was a big thing. Like last year, based on last year's team, if we had to deal with Mathurin as well, that would have even been more of a nightmare series for us. So
well, I mean, I think it goes without saying that the Knicks have added a few bullets, gun to the arsenal here. They've got a little bit more, tools here on their tool shed.
I mean, the tipping point in the series last year was losing OG Anunoby. So, whatever other injuries we were dealing with at the time, of which there were a bevy, once Anunoby went down, the series was over. Because he is so – and now they have Bridges too, and the two of them together as a perimeter defensive unit really will help us. But Anunoby is the one who can switch onto all of these guys and cause them problems. He's the one who knows Siakam's game so well and can slow him down in the post, because that's where Siakam kills us. You take Siakam threes, man, like it happens. He has nights where he hits them, but like where he tortures us is back to the basket. And that's where Anunoby can really have an impact if he's got that assignment, and if he switches out on the perimeter and takes on some of the challenges like Mathurin or Halliburton. I have an extreme confidence in his ability to handle those matchups. And I think Bridges is now finding a chemistry with OG that maybe wasn't there throughout the season. And a lot of it also comes from when Mitch is in the game, the two of them feel like, when I say the two of them, I mean Bridges and Anunoby, they have more liberty that to pursue the ball, to take risks, to go for steals, to take gambles, because they know Mitchell Robinson will protect the rim. So I think that all of those pieces together make the Knicks defensively capable right now. And that's what was missing last year. Like, what's the bigger impact player to be missing? Mathurin or OG? I don't know.
Yeah. I just think that we do get caught up in last year's series because we could compare it to something, but the reality is, like, there's just so many different, Josh Hart spoke on it, like, there's just so many different moving parts now, and their roster looks a little more similar than ours does because of all the changes that were made here and bringing in 2 new starters, etc. But you mentioned McBride, another guy that I talked about last night. I went on a spot that in the Detroit series was discouraging, and for him to bounce back and have 3 double-figure scoring games and be a real threat, like, it's hard to go through the playoffs without getting any scoring from your bench. It's hard. And in this series against Boston, he didn't have any crazy 20-point games, but he had the timely shots that are like, all right, who's going to score if Brunson is off the court or Towns off the court, or we need this lift at the beginning of the second or start of the fourth. So for McBride to show signs of life, I thought was a major factor in this series, and it'll be a major factor in the Indiana series as well.
Couple big points from McBride from the last series. There was a three he hit us down 9 in the game, first half of Game 4, which at the time didn't seem like a big deal, but it was. Because in that game, felt like it was slipping away. Cat misses a 3 from the corner. Mitch gets the offensive rebound, kicks it out to Deuce, rises up, hits the 3, cuts it to 6. So at the time, seems like whatever, a regular play. That's not going to impact the end of the game. That was huge. And obviously the block by Deuce on Jalen Brown in Game 6.
I mean, that was crazy.
That led to the OG 3, I think. So, I mean, look, Deuce is always going to bring the energy. He's always going to play much bigger than his size. But it's kind of like we're so heavily reliant on him because Mitch is not a scorer. So, and Campaign, by the way, has not hit a 3 since Game 1. The Pistons
I think you're going to get a Campaign stretch in this series. I'm not saying he's going to. I don't think
he's got one a month.
It's been a month.
Yeah. I think one of these games he's going to hit like multiple threes in a big spot, because I don't think with all the guys that they are running out there, that's my prediction in terms of you're going to get spot minutes. Ultimately, they're not going to play more than 7, 10 plus minutes in terms of meaning those 8 and 9 guys that might play. No one's going to play more than 10 after McBride and Robinson.
Right.
So if they do it, I think you'll see 6 minutes from Payne and 4 minutes from Shamet or Precious, whatever they end up doing. It won't be that long. So we'll see if anybody can make an impact. But you know what they're going to do, Indiana? They're going to pick up 94 feet. They're going to try to make it uncomfortable. Brunson, Neesmith's going to get in his face, just like they did last year. That's their strategy, make it physical, and then complain that the small market team shouldn't be in the final.
That wasn't it. That wasn't a problem for Brunson, though, in that series. That wasn't an issue for him. The picking up 94 feet and Neesmith making all the faces whenever he got picked up a hand check foul, like he Brunson did this already with this postseason with Asar Thompson, like an overeager, like very pumped up, hyped up perimeter defender. Like that's the thing with Jalen Brunson. It's like, okay, dude, like you think you can really show him something he hasn't seen? You know, like he can't. So they're good. They're a well equipped roster to deal with us, but like. I don't know, like what's it gonna? I mean, it's really gonna take Tyrese Halliburton having a maxed out offensive series for them to beat us. I think, and it's possible. Like we got to be honest, like that is always possible. But if you can contain him and you use those Deuce McBride minutes to slow down the shooting and slow down the pace of the Pacers, like I mean, Benjy's so on point, man. Like.
Thanks.
Deuce has these little moments. Like I'm just looking at my notes, and I'm actually looking at my lyrics from Game 2, where I was like, what was it? Deuce dunked I think he dunked in transition when we were down by 20.
Game
2. I'm thinking of Game 2.
No, it was it game. It was. I'm trying to think. It might have been Game.
I think the dunk you're talking about was Game 2. That was when
they were on their way back. They were down like 18 or 16. I think they had gone up 20 or 21.
Yeah.
And then the Knicks got a stop. Maybe you guys remember how they got the stop and got in transition. But Deuce threw a dunk down, and the Knicks never looked back because he just gave them that one extra play, and then everybody else is available to do what they do. Like once Deuce gets the ball to go through, everybody starts to believe. Like,
you remember what I told you
really
that
little
night
moments.
when you walked by our table?
What?
I said, listen, let's just get this down to like 6 or 8, and Boston might get tight again. Right around that time where they were making that push. And you know what I want to point out too, and you guys I think will attest to this, the Pacer couple rounds have been eerily similar to some of the stuff that's going on with us, even though they've closed out both their series in 5 games, but they've had some monumental comebacks. They were a top seed in that first series. Then they were the lower seed, having to go on the road. They went up 2-0 on Cleveland, and then were able to finish that out on the road. But they've been able to win away from home, and they've done so in dramatic fashion. And they're never out of a game either. You know, and the Knick fan in me wants to say, "Hey, we're better than them. We're going to get revenge on this team." But you got to respect what's going on in Indiana right now, because I always kind of labeled them as that like soft, offensive-minded, non-physical team. But you know, they went in and just kind of bum rushed Cleveland. So I know they were banged up, but you know, you got to respect your opponent. It's a solid club over there. They're playing really good basketball. This is to me going to be a heck of a series. If the Knicks ended it in a short way, God forbid I said 4 or 5 under 6 games, I would be surprised. I think this is headed for 6 or possibly 7, and I'd like to lean New York based on what I've seen so far. But
Yeah.
Indiana deserves a ton of credit for how they've played so far in the postseason.
They do, but I also don't think their road has been as rocky as the Knicks, to be honest.
Yeah,
I don't think. I think they've faced 2 teams that have folded up shop early.
And a little injured too. I mean, Detroit and Boston were kind of banged up too also.
Milwaukee was never really a threat to anybody who had been watching them all season.
Right.
You knew that their whole situation was kind of like that core is not going to be together next season. Yeah. And all the stuff with Dame super sucks and is unfortunate. Like he comes back from the blood clot and then he gets hurt. Like all that stuff sucks. But the fact is, like, that was a team that was in disarray. And then Cleveland, they were missing for almost that entire series. They didn't get a healthy version of Garland or Mobley. You know, we didn't get a healthy version of Tatum or Porzingis, and I think that's, you know, like, well, we did get 3.5 games of healthy Tatum, which is like, I mean, and of course,
3 3/4 and
3
a
and
half.
7/8, 3 and 7/8,
3 and 7/8. It's like we and of course we show love to him and like never wanted anything like that to happen. It's unthinkably whack and sucks. But my point is, I think part of what makes this Knick run like really cool is that they have had to battle and that they've had their backs against the wall in a couple of situations where they were, by a large portion of the NBA world, expected to fold under the pressure, and they never did. And I just don't see where Indiana has been in that situation. I mean, at the same time, they had 2 really dominant series, which tells a different story. You know,
by the way, 2 incredible comebacks. Like the comeback against Milwaukee. Well, I don't care if it's Milwaukee or Washington. When you're down 7 with 35 or 40 seconds left, and then they make that miraculous comeback on 2 turnovers from Milwaukee. Then fast forward to the conference semifinal, they were down 4 or 5 with like 30 seconds, and then Cleveland had that massive collapse where they get the rebound. So there's some they know they don't fold, I guess, under pressure either. But I just think this is going to be one of those series, man. It's just one of those matchups where if somebody were to wipe the floor with the other team, I would be surprised. I really would. I don't think either way I see it ending in a short fashion. But you're right. This has been an incredible playoff. I want to also tell you guys one thing I was thinking about today. Those 15 games they play without Brunson, I had a feeling when it was going on that it would pay dividends, because I think the minutes that they have been without him in the postseason have been noticeably better than anything we've ever seen in the past when he's out of the game in the playoffs. They've actually been able to stay not only above float, but there have been instances where, because of Bridges' prowess in the fourth quarter, that he's actually been off the court and they've been plus in certain situations. And I think it's not an accident being able to point to that large of a stretch where other guys were forced to the ball into their hands.
And think about where we came from, right? Like the game after Brunson was out against the Lakers, you had that game at the Clippers, and we lost it, and we looked at a sink, and you were like starting to think, like, is this what we're going to look like without Brunson?
Yeah.
And kind of, a combination of the softer schedule, and then we just hit our groove, and OG had that great, 16, 18 game stretch where he averaged like 20, 22 points a game. I think that was sort of another byproduct is just OG getting the confidence and being that secondary scoring threat. I mean, look, bottom line is if OG
Bridges too.
Bridges, right. If Bridges scores, I think I saw the stat. If he scores 25 plus, we're 25-4. So he's obviously an X factor. We know that, and then OG as well. I'm not sure his exact record when he scores 20 points, but I mean, come on, you see when OG is a real factor. Typically, his bad games are when we lose, like his bad offensive games. So that gave those guys a chance to shine, and then also potentially preserve Brunson, right? Like maybe if he played those games, he would have, not been as fresh as he seems now. So I think that was a key confidence builder for us, man. I'm sorry, guys, I got to run, but it's been amazing to speak with you guys, and I appreciate the time. I cannot wait for much love. I can't wait for Wednesday. I'll be at games 1 and 5. I'll be out east in the Hamptons for game 2, so I'll be home watching with the family. But I think we got this, man.
I feel.
I don't want to get crazy, but let's get the game Wednesday and then take it from there.
Love Benjy.
All right, much love, guys.
Guys, both of you guys, as we close tonight, just want to say how much I appreciate you, how awesome it's been to get to know you guys, and looking forward to many great basketball conversations going forward. Because, like I said, very rewarding part of this journey has been to connect with diehards, good people, and good basketball. I could wake up at 6 a.m., talk hoops all the way through the entire day, and go to bed at 12, and be very, very happy about that. So that's been my life, and to be able to connect, like I said, with people that care about it as much as I do, has been incredible. So kudos to you guys, and I look forward to many more conversations involving our Knicks, hopefully going deep into June.
I want to just say one thing, Harris, before you guys sign off.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cynical ways to look at the NBA. It pervades social media, cynicism, underappreciation of the way these athletes are performing. Don't succumb to it. Enjoy the basketball that we're about to witness, because it's going to be an epic clash of styles. It's going to be awesome, ball for ball's sake.
Doug, I was convincing people that Eddie Curry and Zach Randolph would be able to get a 7 or 8 seed and take us deep into the postseason. If you think I'm going cynical now
about that,
if you think I'm going cynical now, it's not happening. Basketball's always been a positive outlet. Now the Knicks are an extremely positive outlet with how they're going. So, guys, appreciate you being on. We'll catch up. We'll talk soon. But means a lot that you guys were able to do this. And best of luck to our Knicks, and enjoy the rest of your night, fellas.
All right, thanks.
Go Knicks.